I want to start with a point that I think is pretty symptomatic for the entire match. So both of you are pretty steady players until you're trying to create something. And this is Jonas here in the back serving, and this is Harry here in the forefront. And I am doing this analysis for Jonas here in the back, so I'm focusing on him a little bit more. And what I'm noticing, Jonas, is that you're hitting a lot of balls through the inner third of the court, which is a good tactics if you want to play it really safe. And you are successful in this match. I'm just going to let this roll. So the first ball that you're hitting here actually is outside of that third. But after that, both of you are kind of trading shots through the middle. And of course, you're not running a whole lot of risk. That's a nice deep shot. So you're starting to push them off. And then you're kind of getting caught on that one here a little bit. But I think that is a point that kind of repeated itself over and over. So in this instance, you're losing the point. And I'll show you another one where you end up winning the point, but the fundamental structuring of the point is pretty much the same. So here you're a little bit more active, but again, the majority of the balls are through the middle when I think you have more opportunities to open the court. And a lot of times they are landing short and he happens to miss the ball. So a lot of times also what happens is if Harry here wants to be the first to be a little bit more aggressive and at the level where you're at right now, is that also means that he's missing some more. So if you see at the point distribution then that you have given me, you see that it's not a huge difference in numbers. Basically, you're very close together there. So it's just a few points. So at this level, you're still getting away with playing through the half of the court. But when somebody then, when they have the opportunity, get more balls in play and start pushing you around, then you'll get in trouble. And those are the balls that look like this. So what happens here in this point, although you hit a good first serve, Harry is finding an opening first. So he's starting to move you around and you're being pretty passive there and you're basically having to do a whole lot of running. So this is how he mostly won his points. We'll get into the backhand, your backhand a little bit later, and we'll figure out what to do with that. But in total, to my mind, you're just being a little passive and you're happy to wait for your opponent to miss the ball, which at your level right now is still happening. But I'm always coaching to move up to the next level. So when you want to move up, you have to start taking some more risks. And I think there's a lot of opportunity that you had in this match that you did not take. So one thing that we're seeing is, obviously, you're a pretty tall dude. So I think you should come in a lot more, and I'm showing you the opportunities that you had and you didn't necessarily take. You have a good first serve out wide on the deuce court. And that should become a pretty standard pattern for you, that you open the court there and you now see it would be, to my mind, a more natural thing to follow this ball in. Number one, don't let it drop quite as low if we see that here. So you just served. And then you're letting this ball drop a little bit right here, instead of getting up 2 or 3 more quicker steps and then taking that ball into the open court and following it in and seek to get a volley. You're kind of missing that opportunity. You're forcing an error, okay. But to me, from the deuce court, that should be your pattern. And that wasn't even one of your best serves. We had much better serves that pull your opponent all the way here behind the alley. Follow that in and then get the open court. So it's that classic 1-2 punch. And I think you absolutely do have that. So this is a point where, to my mind, you have multiple opportunities to come in and you're not taking them, and or multiple opportunities to really open the court. So I'll let it run through and then we'll pick on the individual shots, because I think that again is pretty representative for what is happening. So see, you had a couple of short balls, and now he's starting to take over a little bit. And that was probably not the best choice. Now he happens to miss the ball, but again, there were several chances to do a little bit more with that point. So let's look at the opportunities again here. So that, to my mind, is your first one. Instead of going up the line here, open the angle going behind him. And now it develops a little bit again through the middle. That could have been a little bit more. Do you see that your feet are inside the baseline? You're just tending to let the ball drop a little too much. And I think we also talked about that in the shot analysis that we did for your forehand. So you're just giving him a lot of time to reset on almost every ball. So that, to my mind, here is definitely one where you have to do a lot more. So you, again, see where your feet are. You're well inside the court. You can go behind him, you can go to the open court, but to me, that's an approach shot instead of going through the middle and then backing up again, because now he can regroup. That's another ball. You got your feet inside the baseline. That's when you want to start opening the court a little bit more, instead of just going down the line. So I think you're seeing what I mean, and I could have picked about 6, 7, 8 balls, and that, to my mind, also is not a drop shot attempt. That should have been a ball where you're coming in. Again, you end up winning the point, but if you want to play up a little bit more, you need to take advantage of those opportunities. Another opportunity that I'm seeing is for you to attack a weaker second serve. So he misses his first, let call on the second, and on that one, again, you see where your feet are. So this is always your cue. If you have your feet inside the baseline, you can and potentially should go for more. Maybe it's because you're not quite warmed up yet and you're not in the game yet because it's only been one game so far. But this one, to me, you need to be doing a little bit more than just going through the middle and also being very short. And again, that's when he can turn the point a little bit. And we'll see what happens here then. Coming back to the middle, could have stepped up a little bit more there. And then you do end up winning the point. So you see the repeating pattern. Again, you're very happy to just get into a rally, but start being a little bit more aggressive. And an example on how to do that, we got here. So you're moving up and you're immediately going with what essentially is a forehand cross court into the more open space here, into the more open court. And you got him running immediately and you force the error. So again, you're not supposed to go, 4 lines here, but give yourself, let's roll that back here, give yourself the margin of error when you attack, just like you did here. So this area is good, a yard inside the baseline here and stay a yard from the sideline. So that's a good ball. See, it's a heavy, good ball and it forces the error. So that's what you want more. If you're coming in, of course, when you work on being more aggressive, of course you will get past a couple of times. And you did have a couple of points where you did the right thing, you ended up losing them. So I want to show you those. So he's missing his first serve. You're creeping up a little bit. You're attacking it. Okay, he passes you. But if we roll this back, you see how close to the lines he has to pass you. And you are a pretty tall guy. So can somebody do that 2 sets? Literally passing you on the dime there. So you did the right thing. Maybe could the return have been a little deeper? Potentially, yes. But that is what you want. You want to continually put pressure on your opponent. So let's look at one other one. So just being more aggressive here. And here you have the right idea to step around your backhand. You're just not quite getting back into the shot, but that is where you're starting to look for your forehand and you're starting to take over the point. So if you're missing that ball, I don't have an issue with that. This here is how I would like to see the point. So better return off the second. That's aggressive, but it makes sense. Again, you have your feet inside the baseline. So that is where you can pull the trigger. So you got him on the run. That's where I'm asking why you're not already at net. So you see him disappearing out of the frame. This could have already been your chance to come in. When you see somebody that far on the run, that should be your cue to come in. But definitely now, push him the other way. Exactly. Why are you not in? Now you're coming in, and then you're putting that away. So that is how aggressive you want to be from the start of the point. And again, making use of margins a little bit more aggressive. So instead of just attacking this area and or rallying in this area, you want to use this area a little bit more, these two areas a little bit more, and start making them run. Because the more people run at any level, the more errors or lesser quality balls you will actually force. One of the things that you pointed out yourself was also that there were a lot of backhand misses, a lot of unforced area with your backhand. And one of the reasons is that you're pretty flat, you're not loading a whole lot. So that here, when we look at the last one, you did good in defending, you did well there defending some of the other shots, but if we're going back, and you look at the take back here, your hip and your shoulder don't necessarily come around a whole lot. Your racket head never really drops under the ball, and it's pretty flat there. So in this one, you're literally standing up and you're pushing that ball deep. So on this ball, you need a way heavier load dropping down to the ball there to also create a lot more topspin and not just hitting it fairly flatly. So an example for the too flat of a backhand would be this. All right, so you see there could have been a lot more preparation on that ball here. Just getting up to the ball a little bit more. So A, you're not letting it drop as much, which would also take time away from your opponent, and you could exploit that open court. But I don't really see a distinct racket drop to create more lift and create more topspin, and you're also pretty upright. So again, get under the ball and up to it. So in conclusion, what I would suggest is that you're starting to structure your points by going through the middle, which is perfectly fine, the first one or two balls, but then you're starting to opening the court. And also making sure that you're really exploiting the opportunities that I think in this match you kind of left on the table a little bit. For instance, attacking a second serve that's a little shorter. Again, your cue is always that you want to be inside the baseline to attack balls and or just balls out of the rally. The other option that you have right away to take over the point is to use your serve. The serve out wide, especially on the deuce, can be developed into one of your strengths, and you use it to pull your opponent out wide and then, of course, go to the open corner. The other thing is that I think you should really start working on is to come in a lot more, because it's going to be so difficult to pass you over and over and over. And even if you're missing a couple of balls or you're being passed, that is just constant pressure. And that way also your opponent knows that they can't just afford to, go through those rallies through the middle and hit short balls. So I think there's a lot of up room there for your game.